Can they catch him? No! 81 yards.
Down to 6 seconds, down to 5, behind the back, driven by Smith. Pulls up to the free throw line, it's good!
For the past 20 years, it has been my pleasure to serve as Executive Director of the Mississippi High School Activities Association. Participating in sports and other activities, all students learn teamwork, discipline, leadership, sportsmanship, and how to be true champions, even in defeat. These aren't lessons just for the playing field or court. Instead, they are lessons for life. By producing and broadcasting these games on their statewide network and in such a professional manner, Mississippi Public Broadcasting validates these efforts and lifts them up as an inspiration to others.
Looking live at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. They're playing host tonight to the South Panola Tigers and the Meridian Wildcats, as both of those clubs go for the 6A state championship of high school football in Mississippi on the FedEx MHSAA State Championship Football Playoffs presented by Bank Plus. Hi everyone, I'm Russ Robinson, joined tonight by Cheyenne Trussell and Romero Miller. And Cheyenne, you know, these are two teams that have thought they would be in this game all along, and it's really no surprise that they're here.
And Russ, this is the most anticipated state championship game in over a decade, and rightfully so. Both of them is predicated around the defense, even though you hear offensively and so many high scoring, but both coaches talk about defense and intensity.
Romero, this is a game in which no one is giving Meridian really a chance because everybody's saying, oh, you're playing the #1 team in the country. But, in fact, there is a chance because who was the last one to beat South Panola?
Well, I'll tell you, that beat Meridian Wildcats a couple of years ago playing down here in Jackson. They came out and stunned them. But, you know, if anybody can beat them, Meridian can, but South Panola, they're up for this chance tonight.
Let's take a look on how these two teams got to this football game tonight. First, for Meridian, they had to beat Ocean Springs and beat Gulfport, which I thought was one of the most improved programs in the state of Mississippi this year, and then beat Oak Grove, which is a young team that was playing well at the end of the season. So they get into this championship game by way of beating these three clubs. Now, on the other side of the football, South Panola had 3 games. They took care of business with Grenada, but those last 2 games between Olive Branch and Madison Central really helped prepare them for this ball game tonight, and they had to beat those 3 teams to get in this game, and the Madison Central game was probably one of the tougher games they've had.
Right, and of course, guys, we have playmakers all over the field tonight, but for Meridian, one of the main playmakers offensively is going to be quarterback Antoine Akins, and then on the offensive side for South Panola, look for running back Quentin Griffin that already have rushed for over 2,400 yards.
All right, Kim Tanner is on the field tonight. Let's go down and see her for a moment. Kim?
Thank you, Russ. I tell you, the Wildcats and Tigers are beginning to pace around just a little bit. They're ready to get this game kicked off, and they're ready to face each other here again after 2 years. But I spoke with Coach Pogue's wife, Dixie. She said he's always calm as he can be, but this game, he's been wanting everything just right. So these coaches are ready to get this on too, guys.
Thank you, Kim. You know, in every football game and every football team, there are key players that you know could make big plays at any time. Let's start first with the Meridian Wildcats. Who would be their key players for this ball game?
Of course, once again, on offense, you're going to have Antoine Akins. Of course, they got Kenyon Roberts, running back. On defensively, look for a host of them, especially safety, hard-hitting Fluker.
All right, what about South Panola?
Well, for me, Quinn Griffin on the ground, he's a guy that's going to give you those tough yards inside. And then you talk about on the outside with the quarterback getting the ball out to Nicholas Brazel. This guy been making plays all year, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of these tonight.
A lot of people think that Griffin is just, you know, another situation of Nick Parker all over again. It's just, you know, he'll grind out the yards, and then in a moment he's gone in a flash for the end zone, and it should be a heck of a ball game tonight as South Panola, the #1 team in the country, people, #1 in the United States. You're going to see him here tonight on MPB. They're taking on the #2 team in the state of Mississippi in the Meridian Wildcats. We'll take a timeout, and when we come back, we'll have the kickoff of tonight's football game as the FedEx MHSAA State Football Championships presented by Bank Plus continues in a moment.
The FedEx MHSAA Football Championships, presented by Bank Plus, are made possible by Hamels, catering by George's, Cabot Lodge, Chimneyville, and Jason's Deli.
A good look at a South Panola Tiger fan right there as the South Panola Tigers get ready to take on the Meridian Wildcats here in Jackson, Mississippi. 6A football championship for the state of Mississippi on the line tonight. Let's take a look. There's Larry Weems, the head coach of the Meridian Wildcats. What a job he's done with these Wildcats since moving over to Meridian.
Been very successful. Coach Weems' record is 61-10 in 5 seasons there. And I tell you what, he's a hard-nosed guy, but he has the right touch with this team in this community.
Well, I tell you, he's got his Wildcats playing well. There's Lance Pogue, the head coach of the South Panola Tigers. I had a chance to ride up in the elevator with his father a while ago here to watch the ball game, and he said something interesting. He said Lance puts in 100 hours a week coaching. Larry Weems may beat him tonight, but he won't outwork him. Here's the kickoff now from Peter Bogue, and a fair catch called for and made at the 30-yard line by number 6 Marcus Henry, and that's where South Panola will go to work now. 1st and 10 at their own 30-yard line. Lee Self will be the quarterback for South Panola. They come in 14-0. And the fullback will be Hunter Lawrence, and the tailback will be Quindarius Griffin. You know, used to, guys, it used just to be, you know, punch mouth football, just run for South Panola. But when Lance Pope came, they introduced the forward pass, and everybody's gone crazy since then. Here's the first handoff coming wide, and he's got room, and he's got big room. That's Nicholas Braswell, and you have to keep an eye on him. And he takes the ball to the 41-yard line.
You know, it's kind of ironic that Nicholas Braswell is the only dandy dozen playing in all of these state championship games.
Up front for South Panola, you got Carton Howard, McMurtry, Douglas, Hines, Campbell, and Chapman. They're as solid a group as you're going to find. 1st and 10 for South Panola at their own 41. Man in motion, Braswell, and now here is Self, the quarterback, taking it over the right side between Thomas Campbell and Hines on the left side, and the tackle made by Lauren Jackson. Let's take a look at the backs and receivers now for South Panola. And they are a solid group led by that man right there. Lee Self, the steady Eddie quarterback. Then, of course, Quindarius Griffin, Hunter Lawrence, the fullback. Wideouts, Braswell, Henry, and Chapman, and there may not be a better group. 2nd down and 7 for South Panola from their own 44-yard line. Man in motion, right, Braswell, a fake, and here's Self now wants to carry the ball himself, and he's dumped at the 46-yard line. Coming up to make the tackle is Jacoby Eason. And now, speaking of defense, let's take a look at Meridian's 3-down linemen: Jackson, Roan, and Hendricks. And Meridian in the backfield, a 4 linebacking group: Eason, Roberts, McNeil, and Butchie. Corners are Cox and Brewster, and Fluker, you mentioned at the outset of the broadcast, had one safety, Yarber the other. Fluker brings the wood. Triple receivers to the left. On a 3rd down and 5. Catch is made. 1st down is there. And that is Braswell on the catch, and that is Butcher on the tackle.
And we talked about positive yardage all day long, and of course for Meridian, everything's been centered around their defense. And so for South Panola to be able to go down, especially if they get a score in this series, it began to be a psychic thing.
There's a good look at Griffin right there. 1st and 10 after a gain of 6. And here is Self trying to get to the outside, and nothing. Check that. That is Griffin trying to get to the outside, and nothing there.
I'll tell you what, it seemed like the first couple of plays, they're going to come out, and we're going to call this the Wild Tiger. They're definitely going to run that down, try to run it down Meridian Wildcat throat.
Let's take a look at this.
As you can see, Griffin comes out in the Wild Tiger and go up in, and those guys come up to make the tackle and hold them to a 1-yard gain.
You know, having Griffin back here is like having another quarterback back there. Good look at him there, 5'8", 180-pound senior. 2nd down and 9. They'll send Braswell in motion right. Here's the throw down the middle, and it's incomplete. Almost came up with the throw. Yarber on the coverage. And that brings up 3rd down and long.
There was a different look for me. I wasn't ready for Griffin to come out and throwing the ball, but I tell you, he had his receiver Henry going down the middle of the field, and it was a great play by the defensive back.
Senior defensive back. There's a good look at Lance Pogue. Yarber on the coverage that time for Meridian. And the Tigers will break the huddle now. There's a good look at Self, the quarterback. Lee Self, senior. They'll send a man in motion right. Self back to throw. 3rd and long. Has the arm, has the reception. Is he out of bounds? That's the question. And I believe they're going to call him out of bounds.
Yeah, talking with Coach Pose, he said the keys to winning this game is going to be able to win the turnover margin. Panola's only turned the ball over 5 times all year. Looking at this replay here.
Pretty good throw there by Self. He actually had his man beat.
Right.
Well, I tell you, Meridian Wildcat came out and played some form of cover 2, and the safety played that perfect and got over the top and forced that throw to go out of bounds.
So the punting unit is on for South Panola. And that'll be Clayton Sibley, and he gets the kick away. Meridian going to back off, let it roll dead inside the 15-yard line, and that's where Meridian will go to work. So they hold the Tigers on their first possession. And now let's see what the Wildcats of Meridian do on offense. And of course, they are led by Antonio Atkins. There's a look at him right there. He's a junior. Had 24 touchdowns on the year. I'd say he's active.
And what you want from Meridian offense, even if you don't score, you want to be able to move to pick up the first down.
From the 14-yard line, Wildcats out of the shotgun, twin receivers both ways. The snap, and they give it to the first man through. The Tigers are there defensively. Griffin on the tackle for South Panola. Here's a look at the Meridian offensive line. E.J. Perry, Cole Stanley, Jaquarius Scott, and Melvin Morris. Very solid up front for the Meridian Wildcats. And the backfield, we'll get to them in a moment. 2nd down and 8, pickup of 2 by the Wildcats from their own 16-yard line. 3 receivers to the left for Atkins. Atkins taking a lot of time. Low snap, bobbled it for a moment, picks it up and pays the price at the 14-yard line. That is Turner on the tackle for South Panola. And the backfield, Antoine Atkins, the quarterback, Kenya Roberts, the running back, and then 4 wideouts. Portis, Habert, Stanley, and Johnson, and all 4 of those guys, Cheyenne, can fly.
Oh, they can flat out run. What makes Meridian tick offensively is that they kind of a rhythm team with Antoine Atkins, and right now South Panola seem to be cutting down the running lanes.
3rd down and 10. Triple receivers left. Atkins wants to throw, lets it go. It's got a man out there, and it's incomplete. Just over the outstretched hands of the receiver, Cremaine Portis.
Guys, I tell you, anytime you're playing against the #1 team in the country, you're going to have chances in the game to make plays. Here's a chance where the receiver going down the middle of the field and the quarterback just do it out there a little bit too much. So that's something they're going to have to go to the sideline and correct and come out the next time and try to connect on that.
Luke Stanley on the coverage for South Panola. All right, here is the punting unit will come on now. Be standing back at the 3-yard line. Stanley in the punt now for the Wildcats. End over end. Going to be picked up at the 45-yard line and taken down quickly. And the score, 0-0 here in the first quarter. We'll take a timeout and be back in a moment.
Hometown values build big-time players in football and in life. The Smith Phillips Law Firm supports South Panola athletics and academics. There's more than one reason we call it the University of South Panola. With offices in Batesville and Hernando, Smith Phillips, Mitchell, Scott, and Nowak are your lawyers in North Mississippi.
Welcome back to Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. And while we were gone, a personal foul tacked on against South Panola. Lance Pogue does not like that at all.
No, and some additional keys he talked about how they can win the game is move the ball offensively, and they want to establish a physical presence. That's South Panola game.
Oh, they're going to establish a physical presence.
This sounds like the formula they used the last couple of years, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think he just took that from his book 3 years ago. 1st and 10 for the Wildcats. They've got the ball at the Panola 44-yard line. Check that, here's the Tigers. Big hole. And a touchdown-saving tackle. Whoa. Griffin is so quick. And on the tackle, Shaquille Fluker, you talked about him in the pregame show, and Griffin just so quick and so strong.
And I think the difference here, too, is that the offensive line of South Panola, they are just so dominating.
There's a good look at Griffin right there. 1st and 10 for Panola at the Wildcat 38-yard line. Twin receivers right. Self hands off. And this time nowhere to go. On the tackle for Meridian is Easton. Easton makes the tackle at the 35-yard line. Good look there at Lance Pogue. Lance always looks the same from the moment the game starts to the very end.
He's a super guy, and he talks a great deal about how much support he gets from his wife, Dixie.
He really talks. He's a good ambassador for the state of Mississippi. 2nd down and 7 now for South Panola at the Wildcat 35. And the direct snap to Kendrick Market. You know, we haven't talked about Market that much, but he is a game maker too. Roberts on the tackle for Meridian. But that young man right there can also play. He is a 170-pound senior.
You know, Russ, if you're looking at home, you say, well, South Panola's not doing that much. What it is over time, they begin to wear you down.
As those big bruising offensive linemen just pound away. But right now they're pounding away at a pretty big defensive front four. Self takes the snap. Self looking, trying to buy time. Ooh, runs into Wildcats at the 39-yard line. First one that got him was Butcher, Ryan Butcher. And that time Self had no one to throw to. Let's take a look at it, Romero.
Well, guys, actually, he self-dropped back, and there's nowhere to throw. And he tried to scramble out of the pocket and make something happen, but Meridian Wildcats got a pretty fast defense.
Got a nice little bump there from Ryan Butchie. Butchie just knocks him to the ground.
And talking with Coach Pogue, as well as some of the other coaches around the state, they said this got to be one of the toughest Meridian defenses they've seen in quite some time.
4th down, and they're going to go for it. Well, actually, it'll be a pooch kick by Self. And it'll go out of bounds at about the 12-yard line. And so with 4:39 to go in the first quarter, we still have no score on the scoreboard. And we will take a timeout and return with the 6A state championship game in a moment on MPB. Back with more in a moment. No score on the scoreboard with 4:39 to go in the first quarter here from Veterans Memorial Stadium in Jackson. And right now, Meridian on the move. 1st and 10, back to throw. Atkins makes the throw at the 16-yard line, and it's going to be close to a first down. The reception made. And the reception made there by Portis for the first down. You know, the buzz around here the last couple of games has been how good the stadium looks. This is the best I've ever seen the grass look, and the painting was outstanding. And of course, the FedEx logo looks really good down there.
Oh, and a lot goes into keeping a natural grass field this time of year.
First down for the Wildcats. They'll send a man in motion. This is Atkins keeping it himself, and he's got some room. Across the 35 to the 40, and another first down by the Meridian Wildcats. Let's take a look at this play.
Well, I tell you, this Atkins just going to hit it around his outside out here. And once he gets going, once he get to going, it's man on man, and he get out there and show his speed. And the receiver's doing a great job downfield, just extending that play and let him get some more yards on it.
Kendrick marking in on the tackle for Panola, but it's a first down for the Wildcats at their own 44. And they run this time by the quarterback Atkins, and he moves the ball up to close to midfield. And Romero, right now, the offensive line seems to be handling the defensive line of the Panola Tigers.
I tell you what they're doing, they're just giving you a heavy dose of Atkins. The quarterback is getting on the perimeter and making some things happen. And what I'm noticing is the receivers, they're blocking for him down the field.
And Atkins' style of running, you don't have to maintain a block long. He can make a cut and get out of it real quick.
3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Second down, we'll call it 4 for the Wildcats at their own 49. A low snap. Atkins going to have to roll out of trouble, and he does. And going to be dumped at the 49-yard line. Making the tackle is Kendall Carr for South Panola. Or that could have been a big gainer.
I tell you, that was an impressive tackle. Anytime you have an athlete like that out on the perimeter and the guy come up and make the tackle, you got to tip your hat to the defensive player.
Ball resting just over the 50-yard line. Good shot there of Larry Weems, the head coach for the Meridian Wildcats. Good crowd on hand tonight. And glad to have you with us tonight on Mississippi Public Broadcasting all across the state of Mississippi on the MPB network. So many people being able to watch this year. And a whistle, and it looked like Atkins was having a trouble getting what play he wanted to run. He's going to call a timeout. We'll give us a chance to remind you that the Mississippi High School Activities Association would like to thank its gold sponsors, FedEx, Bank Plus, Team IP, the Clarion Ledger, Mississippi Sports Medicine, and Cellular South. These responsible corporate citizens make it possible to offer these quality championship events, such as our state football championships.
And Coach Weems was talking about, he feels the keys to winning this is playing a perfect game with great effort. He also feels that they have to control the ball, which is doing a good job on this series, as well as limit the penalties. So right now, you can see that Meridians appear to be getting that little swagger, that little sense of urgency here.
You see so many times that the statements thrown around that the kids have to buy into what the coach is talking about. It would appear to me that the Wildcats have bought into Coach Weems' what he wants to do here tonight, and the fact that he's told these guys, hey, you've done it before, you can go in there and beat them tonight.
Yeah, the whole community's bought in. Remember when I played at Meridian in 1978, Coach Weems was a defensive coordinator, a young guy at the time and much still young, but the whole community buy into him as a coach.
Third down and short. This is where South Panola gets really tough. Atkins hands off left side, big hole. Down inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. And on the carry is Heath.
As you can see, Atkins gives the ball to the fullback up the middle. And actually, later on, you can watch it because he can pull it out later on in the game. So maybe they're going to try to give it, pull down the sideline.
That's power football right there when you just run your fullback up in there, and he's holding on to that ball. 1st and 10 now for the Wildcats. That flag goes down as Atkins goes down at the line of scrimmage in the area that you normally get holding called. And the holding is called.
And that changed your whole play calling, going from 1st and 10 to maybe 1st and 20.
And they're going to, here's the call. Coach Weems talking to Atkins. That's going to back the Wildcats up. That's really the only negative thing that's happened to them in this drive.
And I tell you, Coach Weems has both of his sons on his staff, one on the high school staff, Ty, and the other Clark on the middle school staff at Meridian.
First down and 20 for the Wildcats at the 49 of South Panola. Atkins wants to throw, does. Catch is made. It's a short gainer. Grant on the reception for the Wildcats. Got you about 2 or 3 yards, and that's about all.
As defensive coordinator, Coach Poe, what do you do? Do you rush Antoine and take the risk of him hurting you, with his athletic ability? Or do you sit back and take a risk of him throwing the ball?
Well, I tell you, he got a lot of options out there in the secondary.
Twin receivers both ways now. On a second down, we'll call it 13 yards to go for a first down. Atkins two-step drops. A lot of time. Atkins just pulls it down and decides to run. And, man, he is hammered at the 48-yard line. Looked like coming up to make that tackle was Isaac Gross, 6'2", 260-pound junior. And you look at that defensive line, they've got 3 juniors do South Panola across the defensive line. Taylor Rodberry being the only senior. They've got a good group coming back. Third down, well, let's call it 14 yards. 14 yards to go. 3 wide outs to the right, 2 to the left. Atkins, two-step drop. Atkins going to turn it up the field, shakes loose another time, got a nice block. 40, and rolled out at the 39-yard line. Boy, he got a super block on that right side over there that sprung him, and he got a lot of the penalty yardage back. Let's take a look at it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about Atkins in this game tonight is definitely his feet. He can run the ball, and once he get outside the pocket, South Panola's secondary is actually going to have to stay back because he's truly a dual threat quarterback.
And this is the one team in the state, the Meridian Wildcats, that come in definitely will have no fear.
Fourth down, and 9 yards to go, and Luke Stanley will come in and punt the football away, we think. They may be trying to draw the Tigers offside. He does get the snap, and a kick inside the 10-yard line will roll dead at the 4-yard line. We'll take a timeout. Nothing. Back with more in a moment.
Hometown values build big-time players in football and in life. The Smith Phillips Law Firm supports South Panola athletics and academics. There's more than one reason we call it the University of South Panola. With offices in Batesville and Hernando, Smith, Phillips, Mitchell, Scott, and Nowak are your lawyers in North Mississippi.
After the punt, South Panola backed up close to their goal line. They'll have it first and 10 at their own 5-yard line. Self back in the end zone to throw. Flags fly everywhere, and Meridian's pointing at the Tigers.
Yeah, if you look at the center, it seemed like he double snapped it. He moved it and then snapped the ball.
Does it appear to you that South Panola at this point in the game seems a little bit out of sync?
They're a little out of sync, but you know what? That's kind of character for South Panola. You know, in the opening game of the year, when they came to visit Petal, it was kind of an ugly first half, but by the end of the game, they had extended, a pretty good margin. So South Panola does that.
But one thing that I'm noticing here early in the game, they're not going to let Nicholas Brazel beat them.
That's a good point.
They're actually double teaming this guy, and somebody else going to have to go step up and make plays for him.
First down and about 13 yards to go for a first down. They will hand it off in the end zone. The Wildcats are there, and falling forward is Griffin. McNeil on the tackle for the Wildcats. And I don't think Meridian looks intimidated to me.
Oh, by no means. Same type of kid. And it's one thing about both of these programs, and I said programs, not teams. Both of their middle school programs are solid. Coach Pogue said, hey, after this graduating class, their middle school is real solid.
All right, a timeout on the field with your score. South Panola nothing, Meridian nothing. Here in the 6A state championship game, the FedEx MHSAA State Football Championship continues in a moment. Welcome back. Meridian nothing, South Panola nothing. We're at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium trying to settle the MHSAA FedEx 6A State Football Championship presented by Bank Plus. And the South Panola Tigers pinned up deep in their own territory right now. Second down. And this is Market turning the corner. Run out of bounds over there by Shaquille Fluker.
They have so many different personnel they could put in there at that Wildcat.
Total offense in the first quarter, Meridian had 59 yards, South Panola 40 yards.
Well, if I'm looking out there on the field, it look like I see another flag on the field, and it looked like he could be going up against South Panola.
Well, 15 yards of penalties for South Panola prior to this flag, on 13 yards for Meridian. But right now, these penalties are hurting South Panola because it's backing them up toward their end zone. Griffin already has 27 yards in the game on the ground. But they've done a pretty good job on him.
Well, you always hear the cliche that defense wins championships, and of course both of these teams have real good defenses, but sooner or later something has to break and will.
You know, if Larry Weems could figure out how to win a game 1-0, he would. He'd try to win this game. Back to throw self, floats it out there, and it is going to be caught at the 45-yard line. Brassel on the reception. That's about as good as throw and catch as you're going to find, Romero.
I tell you, that was an impressive throw because actually the safety was coming over to help. He led him to the sideline away from the safety coming over the top. As you can see, Brassel going to come down here, and the safety's coming over the top, but the way he throw the ball, he leads him down here where the safety can't get there. So as you can see, he dropped back, and he threw it over that outside shoulder where the safety can't get there and help. Got man-to-man coverage.
That's why they're South Panola.
And that's why he's a dandy dozen.
Well, I tell you, Self could have completed that ball nowhere except where he put it.
Twin receivers left with a slot man on the left. 1st and 10 from the Panola 46-yard line. Down the middle it goes, and it's picked off. 40-yard line, 45, 50, and taken down at the 50-yard line. The tackle made by Roberts. And so the Wildcats come up with the interception and stops the drive.
Yes, Self dropped back and throw it over the middle of the field. He just didn't put enough on it. He had the guy going over the top and was just a little bit underthrown. And I tell you what, number 2, Griffin came up and stopped the touchdown, because if he wouldn't have made that tackle, we could have been looking at 7 points the other way.
And Romero, you've played this position. You have this big pass play from Self to get you where you are, and then all of a sudden you throw a pick. What's going through your mind right now?
I tell you one thing about it, make one play, you got to come back and dust it off and get ready to make another one.
So here come the Wildcats. And just kind of pushing and shoving down their way to the 45-yard line. And the man on the bottom of the pile is Kenya Roberts, the running back, a senior.
I tell you, that's something you don't see too often, is somebody just take and run and push the pile against South Panola.
There's a good look at Roberts, 175-pound senior. Pick up 6 yards, 2nd down and 4. Atkins turns the corner, has the 1st down inside the 40 down to the 35-yard line. And you can see the offensive line for Meridian right now. They get up on every play and they're pumping their fists and they're raising their hands in the air. And they have a confidence right now that is good enough to push them on further down the field.
They both play at such high levels, and of course both of these teams have a great deal of respect for each other. Even at the press conference, you see the guys laughing, joking, even hugging each other, but right now they're in competition.
1st and 10 for the Wildcats at the South Panola 35. No score in case you've just tuned in. We're in quarter number 2. There's a look at Larry Weems, the head coach for the Meridian Wildcats. He's got them playing well. Direct snap, and somehow squeaking through there is Kenya Roberts. Just in case he had made it any further. Brassel's there to try to stop him. Along with Kendrick Market, and that brings up 2nd down. No gain on the play. 2nd down, we'll call it 4 yards to go. There's a good look at Brassel right there. Ball going to be spotted on the 29-yard line. Meridian will have twin receivers to the left, 1 to the right. They'll hand it off, and trying to get to the outside and getting there for just a moment is Quamaine Portis. And the Tigers make the tackle. He may have got him before the 1st down.
Yeah, that was a good run there by Hubbard. I tell you, right now, if you could go ahead as your Meridian offense and continue to move that ball and pick up the momentum, anything could happen. Of course, now remember, now you're playing the #1 team in the nation. They've been here before. It's been games you see throughout the year, the close games, 7-7 or 7-0, whatever the case may be, and South Panola come out in the second half and score 35 points. Of course, they hadn't played a team like Meridian this year.
Well, I tell you, South Panola got that bullseye. They're the #1 team in the country. Meridian heard all year about how good South Panola is. And the one thing that they want to do is just come out and prove that, hey, we deserve to be here also.
Well, and they've been behind him in the polls all year in the second position. And they're here tonight to say, hey, we want a slice of that #1 spot. 1st and 10 for Meridian at the South Panola 25-yard line. Atkins in trouble, spins away and is going to try to go wide and is going to be taken down back at the 30-yard line. Antonio Connor on the tackle for South Panola along with Brassel.
You know, there's one thing about Atkins. He's going to try to extend the plays, but sometimes you got to know when the fight's over. There was a play where he could have took a 0, could have got back to the line of scrimmage, but continue to try to make something happen and to go down as a 4-yard loss.
So the ball moved back to the 30-yard line of the Tigers. It'll be 2nd down and 14. 3 wide outs to the right. Back to throw Atkins. Lets it go to the corner and he overthrows his man. He was trying to hit Luke Stanley and couldn't hit him. There's a shot of the Meridian sideline. Coach Weems.
Coach Weems speaks very highly of his wife and very supportive in Chris Weems. And I tell you what, this is going to be a battle to the end.
Oh, 3rd and 14 for the Wildcats at the Panola 32-yard line. There's the throw. A flag goes down. It's caught, and it is going to be a touchdown.
Flag on the play.
Yeah, the way they threw it at, man, you make it think it's coming back. I see him put it on Meridian Wildcats. So
that's Emmanuel Grant that ran the pattern and caught the ball and took it into the end zone, but this is going to cost the Wildcats.
But I tell you what, they just show you Meridian Wildcats can put points on the board. Just a little bit problem in the backfield, but you know they got some playmakers out there. And I tell you what, I bet you South Panola know it right now.
I'd like for you to go to the telestrator and show that play and how it worked for Meridian, because he got in front of that and got in back of that defensive secondary, and he was off to the races.
Yep, he was able to get behind them and then split those guys at the goal line.
All right, let's go and take a look at it and show us how.
Well, as you can see, he's down here and he come off the line of scrimmage, and once he catch the ball, you're going to see him split the defensive guys right here and get on in for the touchdown.
Emmanuel Grant, 155-pound junior, but his touchdown is called back, and now it's a 3rd down and forever for the Wildcats. Atkins wants to go deep. Is decked as he throws the football, and he throws it out of the end zone, and another flag goes down. Intended receiver on the play was Portis.
Guys, this flag right here, if it's roughing the passer, this will definitely hurt you. We're looking at right now 3rd and forever. And
let's get the call here and find out. Roughing the passer. Good call. Good call, Romero. I thought he might have hit him right as he threw the football, but let's take a look at it again.
Well, I tell you, anytime it's 3rd and 32 and you give up a 15-yard penalty and give you the 1st down, those hurt.
Oh, no, he was definitely done throwing the football when he got hit.
You know, you're looking at a chance to get off the field. Now you put Meridian dangerous offense back on the field.
With a 1st down. And you had him in the hole. No score, 1st quarter, 2nd quarter, 7:57 to go in the 1st half. Twin receivers to the right. This one is as good as we thought it would be. Wildcats with it 1st and 10. They try to run off tackle and just nowhere to go for Portis.
I tell you what, circle that last play, and we're going to come back here in a couple of plays, and we're going to see if it ended up hurting South Panola.
Yeah, anytime you get a personal foul. Right now for Meridian, you want to be able to get something out of this drive. You know, hopefully you're a touchdown, but if not, you want to at least get a field goal.
Portis on the carry for Meridian. And now it is second down, and we'll call it 8. From the South Panola 31, twin receivers to the right. Well, he bumps into his own man. Atkins goes up the middle on the keeper and moves it across the 30 down to the 27-yard line. That Meridian group up front is also very solid. Melvin Morris, Traquez Scott, Tyler Stanley, Javeri Cole, E.J. Perry. They're very, very solid up front for the Wildcats.
And I've been very impressed. You know, you can understand all the other areas of the team. However, the offensive line right now for Meridian has proved to be getting it done.
There's a good look at Atkins, the quarterback. Antoine Atkins looking at a 3rd and long 5. Back to throw Atkins. Rolls, looks, throws. It's intercepted at the 12-yard line. Trying to pick up his blocks, gets to the outside. 25-yard line, 30-yard line, 35, and down is Connor, Antonio Connor, and a flag on the play.
Well, I tell you, that was a great play by Connor. Connor's a young guy that you're going to be hearing about here in the future. But it looked like the flag was after the play. So with everything staying the way it is, the ball's going to go to South Panola, but we just don't know where.
Block in the back, going to be assessed to South Panola. You know, if you've been following South Panola football very long, that name Connor is not brand new to this lineup. There have been Connors that played on this team before him.
Well, I tell you, Connor, Griffin, all those guys, all those names, you hear them every year.
All right, let's see if we can pick up the block in the back here as they set up the penalty. Atkins going to be chased, throws back across the chest, and a nice play by Connor. He saw the football coming. There it is right there. Good camera work, guys. Saw the push and the block in the back there that cost the Tigers some yardage. 1st and 10 now for South Panola. Self will set them down. Hands off to Parker, swinging wide, got a good block. 20, 25, 26, and up to the, well, I thought they had him at the 30, but no. Griffin takes it to the 35-yard line, and now the offensive line for South Panola raising their hands and trying to get the crowd into it.
And that's what we talked about earlier, you know. #1 team in the nation. Sometimes it's kind of hard for them to get up. Of course, you know they up for this championship game, but this team is battle tested as well as Meridian, and don't think that South Panola is going to give up their championship without a fight.
Ryan Butchie on the tackle for Meridian, but it's a 1st down carry, and South Panola has it 1st and 10 at their own 35. No score here in the 2nd quarter. Man in motion right. And there's a nice hole on the right side on the straight snap to Griffin. I'm telling you, Romero, he's like having another quarterback back there.
Yeah, I tell you, when he get his legs moving, it's hard to stop. But he's the type of guy, as the game go on, he gets stronger and gets stronger and stronger. And we're seeing it right now.
And I'm still impressed with how many different personnel they could put in the Wildcat, whether it's Market, whether it's Griffin.
So 2nd down and short yardage for Panola. And it's Braswell trying to get to the outside, just kind of dipping his shoulder a little bit. I think he's going to get the 1st down. And that is Cole on the tackle for Meridian.
You know, talking to Coach Pose, and of course he echoes a lot of coaching. He said, you know what, coaching is kind of overrated. If you find someone that winning championships, you find someone that has talent.
Well, I tell you, both of these teams have players on the field. And some of these guys are going to be playing on Saturday. Some of them maybe on Sunday.
Braswell's coming out of the ball game. Looked like he might have been shaking a little bit on that last play. Taking his helmet off. Going to get a breather. 1st and 10 for the Tigers. They've got the football at their own 46-yard line. They'll put 2 wideouts to the right and a slot man on the right. And that's where they'll come with the football. And they got a nice hole for Griffin across the 45 down to about the 42-yard line. All he needs is a sliver of hope.
Well, I tell you, they're getting this unbalanced set, and as you can see when they run to it, you can see that wall coming to their right-hand side, and you know he's been very successful every time they get in that formation.
And that's what we talked about earlier. You know, it don't look like they're doing anything fancy because they're not, but just playing plain old-fashioned football. But over time, the size and power, the strength of these guys kind of wear you down.
Griffin with 2,447 yards on the ground this year for the Panola Tigers.
And just think about, they had a pretty tough road also, but, to beat convincingly a good Madison Central team, last week.
And beat an upstart, I thought, improving team in Olive Branch toward the end of the year. Those were two toughies back-to-back to get them in this ball game. And you got to wonder, how much gas is still in the tank.
Well, I'm going to tell you the secret. Everyone been asking, of course, it's not a secret, but I asked Coach Poe, how year in and year out are they so successful?
And he said?
After this play, I'll tell you.
2nd down and 1 now for South Panola from the Meridian 45-yard line. Griffin got the first down, and let's see where they mark him.
Appears to be a first down.
Yeah, it is a first down. So what did Lance say?
Yeah, Lance said that when Coach Willis Wright first won a championship at South Panola about 18 years ago, these guys were just being born. And he said it's great expectations in South Panola. He said it's a bloodline there. You're always going to hear the Stanfords, the Griffin, the Connors there. And he said that, hey, it's, they hear it from the peers. They hear it each and every year about championship, and that's the main goal. The one goal that they always have is the expectation bloodline.
Look who's back in the ball game now. Brassel back in the ball game, and here's Griffin just kind of skipping down to the 40-yard line, just following that big offensive line that he has to work with, and it's big. Austin Douglas and Deshaundrick Hines providing the blocking up front that time for the Tigers.
And I tell you, Meridian said, hey, you're all kind of the new kids on the block. Because you really look now, we have 18 championships if you count Big 8 in-state championships.
2nd down and 6 for South Panola. Here's Connor swinging wide. Connor hit hard at the 25-yard line. And Connor jumps up and says, hey, let's go again. Let's go again.
Guys, I'll tell you, anytime you see a sophomore take on a guy like that and take that pounding and jump off the ground, hey, I like it.
Let's listen to this hit. There's nothing wrong with your television set.
And throughout the year, number 3, Fluker, 90% of the time, there was anyone else who would have been going back the other way.
1st and 10 for South Panola at the Meridian 25-yard line. Right up the middle, hard run, big run inside the 10 down to the 5 for Kendrick Market. He is a hard one to bring down. Roberts on the tackle.
Guys, as you can see in this replay, everybody go with number 12 as he faked the handoff and hit the ball, hit it right up in the middle. And once he get to going, I tell you what, let's talk about Market. That's Mississippi State commitment. We hadn't talked about him. This is the first time that he's touched the ball, I think, and he was able to make some things happen.
I think Dan Mullen will be excited to see that play.
Well, what you're seeing now is the push for that offensive line.
Well, the timeout is called on the field by the Wildcats, and that gets the South Panola faithful excited. And the Wildcats get over there and talk to Larry Weems. And the defensive staff gives us a chance to remind you that the Mississippi High School Activities Association thanks its silver sponsors, Farm Bureau Insurance, Coca-Cola, Shoney's, and Wilson Sporting Goods, and their bronze sponsors, the Mississippi Army National Guard, the United States Marines, and Max Preps for their support of the MHSAA championships and other activities. Let's go down to Kim.
Coach Lance Pogue's father is here. He's 84 years old, and he was able to make it to the game tonight, which made Lance very, very happy. But I also spoke with Dixie, Lance's wife, and she said her father's not able to be here tonight, and she asked me to give a shout-out to her dad from Dixie.
All right. I'm sure he's watching on MPB tonight.
I'll tell you something else, Russ. In the hotel this morning, talking to some of the fans. A few years ago after the championship games, you had 3 young ladies to get killed in a car accident on the way back to South Panola, where their older sister is getting married tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Wow.
So it's kind of a shout out to the family in the area of South Panola.
1st and goal to go for the Tigers after the Market carry. And here's Market, wants to throw, and he throws, and it's going to be a touchdown. That is Griffin on the reception. And it's all set up because the Market play previous took it down inside the 10-yard line, and they have to respect the fact that Kendrick Martin can run the football. He pulls up and throws, and that's 6.
You're exactly right. It also goes back to see how big of penalty that was for that touchdown being called back from Meridian earlier.
Clayton Sibley will be on to attempt the point after for South Panola out of the hold of Lee Self. The snap is down, the kick is up, and it is good. And the South Panola Tigers take the lead 7-0 with 2:08 to go in the first half. We'll take a timeout and be back with the kickoff in a moment. Welcome back. We're at Veterans Memorial Stadium here in Jackson, Mississippi for the MHSAA FedEx 6A State Football Championship presented by Bank Plus. Russ Robinson along with Cheyenne Trussell and Romero Miller and the entire Mississippi Public Broadcasting crew. 9 plays, 72 yards, took 4 minutes and 10 seconds. That was an impressive scoring drive.
And it was plain old-fashioned South Panola football.
And so now the Wildcats back to receive the kick.
I tell you, if you're not at this game, you're really missing something. Both team crowd been into this game. They're not sitting down. They're standing up the whole time. They know where they're at state championship in Mississippi.
So now you're going to get 2 minutes and 8 seconds to try to tie the football game up. And, of course, Meridian has that ability to do that. They've shown it. And the kickoff taken and stopped at the 25-yard line. Connor on the tackle for South Panola. You know, even though South Panola's got a big roster, you still got a lot of kids that go both ways. Connor's one of them.
Yeah, and that's the philosophy of the coaches, putting playmakers on the field. Also, Russ, remember, this game is not just being broadcasted around the state, but I received texts to people with satellite discs from Texas and as far as California picking up. So everyone want to see the #1 team in the country play.
Well, they're seeing it, and right now they're seeing South Panola leading 7-0, 2:03 to go in the first half, and the Wildcats now on the attack. Twin receivers both ways. From the 25-yard line, Atkins will pull it down. He wants to run. He does, and is run out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Pickup of some 5 to 6 yards. And that stops the clock with 1:56 to go. You know, the Wildcats have actually had 2 really good drives in this football game, but came away with nothing. And South Panola finally got their game rolling, and they made it count.
Well, anytime you're trying to beat the #1 team in the nation, you got a chance to get scores on the points on the board. You got to take it.
3 wideouts to the right with a slot man on the right. 2nd down and 4. Atkins calling for a pass, and he connects with Luke Stanley, wide receiver, for a first down. There's a good look at Stanley right there. Found a seam in that secondary. And the sticks will move now. The clock will start when they set it down. 1st and 10 for Meridian at their own 45. Atkins to throw. Down the middle, and it's incomplete and intercepted. Wow. Intercepted by guess who? Connor. That's a sophomore that's excited right there.
2 interceptions off of tip balls, you know.
Well, I tell you, Connor been making some plays in this game. He did a couple with his feet running the ball, and now as a safety, come up and get the tip ball.
Well, that's why they run the tip drill, isn't it?
That's exactly why.
And you know, last year, of course, as we watch the replay here again, and that's good focus on the defender and to be able to pull it in with one hand.
Connor seems to be everywhere the football is.
I tell you, Connor want to lead this game, getting out of attention. And he's on pace for it.
Well, you remember he came in here last year as a true freshman on that team and just wowed the crowd, wowed the state.
Had over 11 tackles for solos, tackles in that ball game. There he is, 6'2", 192-pound sophomore. Here's Griffin. And not a whole lot there. And coming up to make the tackle for Meridian is Eason. Eason been pretty active in this ball game. Panola now 2nd down. And a long 7. Well, let's make it 8 yards to go for a first. Self will set him down. The quick throw. It's caught at the 40, 45. Flag goes down. 2 flags go down. And they get him into Meridian territory. But that one's coming back. Marcus Henry was the receiver there. And after he caught the football, flags just started flying everywhere, and you knew that one was coming back.
You know, both coaches talking about this year, as we watch the replay, they're able to come in pretty much healthy with very few injuries.
A holding call against South Panola. All right, Romero, tell us what happened on this one.
As you can see, throw it out to Marcus Henry. I guess that's the hold they would call it. Yeah, right there. And negates a positive play for him.
You know, last time these two teams played, of course, you had Nicholas Parker. Remember, he was hobbling on that ankle. And, of course, Antoine didn't make it last year with his thumb. So now you got 2 healthy teams.
2nd down and 15. And it's the direct snap, and they get the lost yardage back. Does Griffin on the direct snap.
Tackle by number 7, Jason.
On the tackle for Meridian is Jason Yarborough. And it'll be 3rd down and a long 7 yards to go for a first. And let's just go ahead and make it 8 with 20 seconds to go. And South Panola may be okay with just running the clock out here. As a matter of fact, Lance Pogue says, no, go back in the huddle. Let's let it run down. He's got a 7-0 lead. And that's less than 5 seconds. South Panola will go into the locker room leading. Oh, no, they called a timeout. Which one did?
What it is, they were trying to keep from getting that delay of game, which, you know, probably wouldn't have mattered, but that's the reason why.
Well, the Mississippi High School Activities Association appreciates the financial support of FedEx as the name sponsor and Bank Plus as the presenting sponsor of these championship games and their contribution to the expenses of the schools that get here.
You know, Russ, every 2 years, MHSAA does what they call a reclassification for schools around the state. And, of course, you could go and look at the new districting on the website. But it was kind of jokingly said in that meeting that we need to develop a new 7A classification for South Panola and Meridian.
Just be a 2-game series every weekend.
Because it seemed like these two teams always end up here playing each other.
Well, you know, that's true. But I'll tell you, Cheyenne, you look at that 6A this year, it was more competitive this year all the way down the line.
It is. With the new districting, oh, just look at some of those teams.
Well, the Tigers going to run out the clock here. And Self takes a knee with no time remaining on the clock. And so the South Panola Tigers will go into the locker room leading by a score of 7-0. The Meridian Wildcats had several opportunities to try to take the lead in this game, but they couldn't get in the end zone. South Panola gets that last good drive going in the second quarter and make it count, and they will go in leading. There's no look of panic in the eyes of South Panola's Tigers.
Oh, neither team. I think both coaches will go in, they'll make adjustments. If you coach Weems at Meridian, you say, you know what, we had some positive plays. What we got to do is stop making turnovers. If you're South Panola, you let them know that, hey, this game is not over. Of course, they've been there time and time after again, but they're going to have to still come out and give Meridian their best effort.
All right, let's go down onto the field. Kim?
Coach, I know you're up 7-0, but are there any kind of changes you want to make in the second half?
Well, just got so many dumb penalties. We're killing ourselves. We had them stop one time, had a rough in the pass. So, you know, that's part of it. We're fighting hard. They got a heck of a quarterback running around back here, and you got to make plays. Offensively, we just made some mistakes. Big drive there to finish the half to go up 7. It's a hard-fought game. Meridian's a great defensive football team. Got a lot of capabilities offensively, but I like where we're at. We just got to clean up some stuff, some stupid penalties that'll help us.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank
Good luck
you.
in the second half. Russ.
Boy, he hit the nail on the head there with the penalties, and we'll get that figure when Brian Eubank gets them to us here in just a moment. But right now we'll go to a break, and with South Panola leading by a score of 7-0 after one half of football for the MHSAA FedEx State Football Championships presented by Bank Plus. It is the Tigers by 7. Welcome back. South Panola leading 7-0. It's time now to listen to the band. Here's the Meridian Wildcat Marching Band.
Is with FedEx and one of our big sponsors here this weekend. And first, let me say thank you to FedEx for making this possible. Why do you think you all get involved with education? What's it mean to you?
It gives us the opportunity to give back to the community, because the community gives so much to us. I mean, we service all these communities. This game in particular, we've got a station in Meridian and we've got a station in Batesville. So it gives us the opportunity to give back to the community for what they give to us.
Well, I know how much these kids appreciate it for letting them display their talents.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're doing a great job.
And it's a good game. And you've got a relative out here playing?
Taylor Rotenberry, number 82 on South Panola's team.
Okay, well, it's going to be a good second half. Thank you so much for sticking around to talk to us.
Thank you.
Stay with us. More action right after this. Leon Harris with Bank Plus is with us this evening, and first of all, thank you to Bank Plus also for being a big sponsor. Tell us a little bit about what you do and what your special interest is in here tonight.
Well, I'm from Meridian, and so are all these folks behind me are too. We've got a large crowd, and Bank Plus is very committed to our community in Meridian. We have a great tradition of football in Meridian, and as you can see, our fans love football over in Meridian. And Bank Plus has always been a big supporter of it.
Well, that's the point. Bank Plus has done so much for their community. Tell us why get involved with athletics like this.
Well, we're involved in a lot of things in Meridian community. United Way, a lot of our folks are involved in United Way with all the agencies there. Relay for Life, Habitat for Humanity. Bank Plus is very committed to the Meridian community.
Well, we thank you for that and for making this possible so we can showcase this kind of talent. And right now we've got a little more talent on the field.
Oh, yeah.
So right now we're going to listen to the South Panola Marching Band. And stay with us. The score of 7-0. The Tigers are up over the Wildcats. We'll have the second half in just a minute. Be right back.
Welcome back to Veterans Memorial Stadium. The MHSAA FedEx 6A State Football Championship presented by Bank Plus, and at the half, South Panola leads by a score of 7-0. Russ Robinson here along with Cheyenne Trussell and Romero Miller. This game is eerily like another game, Cheyenne, that you and I did just 2 years ago. Let's take a look at the highlights. Meridian got on the scoreboard first, and then South Panola comes back. And by the way, both teams are wearing the same uniform colors they wore that night. Here in the second half, Meridian goes to the end zone again on a nice pass in there for the touchdown. South Panola, Nick Parker comes right back and jaunts into the end zone for the touchdown. There's Renfro. He'll play in big into this thing. This is a great onside kick that wasn't, or was it? The official said it didn't go 10 yards. That night we replayed it about 100 times. It looked like it might have, but Meridian comes up with it. Meridian takes advantage, goes into the end zone for the touchdown. South Panola comes right back with an answer. Renfro goes to the air, ties the game at 20-20.
30-yard attempt.
And here is a field goal try.
The snap is down, the kick is up, and it is no good.
Oh my goodness.
And look at
the kick was no good. South Panola rejoices. We go into overtime. And then in the first overtime, Meridian scores off left tackle, makes it look easy. Got into the end zone. And here's a big play. The extra point is missed.
Oh, he missed it.
So now, South Panola, Renfro rolling to his right, trying to buy time. Comes back to his left, being chased and just got a hand on him, and down he goes. And Renfro, the Tigers run out of time. 89 games is gone. Now, guys, you've seen the replays. Compare, if you will, tonight with 08.
Well, if you look at South Panola, they still got their same system. They still a running team back in 2008 as they are tonight. Meridian's still the same spread team. I think the difference from Meridian is that you had Tyler Russell in, and he had more playmakers surrounded. Chris Smith that is now at Mississippi State and others.
Romero, your thoughts on the two games?
Well, that game back then in 2008 came down to the wire. And judging by the way the first half is going right now, like this game could come down to the wire also.
Well, let's take a look at the stats of this football game here for the first half. As you see, the rushing yards, South Panola, as you might expect, stacks it up with 121 yards. But in the passing department, they still lead in that department, 57 yards to 28 yards, and that's a stat that we're not really used to. And penalties have been, there have been a bunch of them. 5 for 55 yards for Panola, 3 for 28 yards for Meridian. Let's take a look at the highlights of the first half. Keep in mind, South Panola leads 7-0, and here in the second quarter, A beautiful pass to Brassel, and then right after that play, a throw down the middle is picked off, and Meridian brings it back the other way, and it looked like there for a moment that Griffin's actually the one who made the tackle. Looks like Meridian's going to try to march down here and put it in the end zone. They get one over the middle, and that was not a touchdown. They called it back by way of what, guys? Penalty.
And that's been the difference. And looking at these highlights right here, turnovers here. Both teams have positive plays, but turnovers.
Here's Connor with an interception. He's had 2 tonight. Picks that one off on the old tip drill. And now South Panola's in business. And Market just throws it over to Griffin. That is a combination that's tough to beat. It was a direct snap back to Market. Meridian tries to come back and is picked off again by who? Connor. So here at the half, it is 7-0 South Panola. The Tigers lead it by way of 1 touchdown. Let's go down to Kim Tanner, who's on the grass.
Coach, it's been a really exciting first half. What are you making in terms of adjustments for the second half?
Well, you know, we got tackled a little better. We misaligned on one series there of the drive. They went down and scored, but give them credit. You know, they came off the ball, ran the ball hard, and executed well. And we've got to do a better job of getting the line when they shift their personnel over. And hopefully we'll do a better job of that in the second half. And just got to keep on playing hard, and maybe we can create a turnover and get a big play.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck in the second half. Russ, back to you guys.
Romero, it seems like that Coach Weems is not very happy with the shifting of his football team to go where the power is of South Panola.
Well, I tell you, it sounds like he's talking about the mental part of the game. Anytime South Panola move around on the line of scrimmage, they want to have his guys to line up correctly. Now, playing harder, I don't think he'll have to worry about this. This goes for all the marbles. 6A championship on the line in the second half, so that's not going to be a problem.
Cheyenne, do you think that South Panola is doing what everyone pretty much expected them to do coming in?
Yes, you know, most people probably expected the #1 team in the country to probably have a larger margin of victory. I tell you, South Panola is going to continue to give Meridian a dose of what they're doing now because that's their style of play. But you got to realize this game still has a long way to go. And so one big play here or there, and it could be right back to top.
You know, it reminds me of a prize fight because you got 2 prize fighters slugging it out, and you take those poundings, and at some point in the ring, you give up, and and down you go. And Romero, we'll see who's pounding hardest on who in this game.
Well, I tell you, South Panola, they come in as the #1 team in the country, but the only way you can be #1, you have to beat #1, and that's Meridian goal tonight.
All right, Meridian will be receiving this kick.
And it's going to be extremely important for Meridian. Not necessarily if they have to drive down and score a touchdown, but it's a chance for them to get the ball and then try to establish that and get that momentum back.
So the Wildcats will receive the football to start things off. High end over end and taken at the 6-yard line. Up to the 10 to 15 to 20 and across the 25 to the 26-yard line. Let's also remember that one thing that's not like last year is this. Lance Pogue had a coat on, and there's nothing wrong with your television. It snowed the whole time. And Nick Parker just a bruiser. Boy, I tell you, they just did it all last year. They're just so strong on the ground, South Panola. Parker, what a back. Of course, Griffin's not bad either. Meridian will have it to start the second half. Antoine, well, there the flags fly down in the first play of the second half. Antoine Atkins, the quarterback, on the keeper.
I think we're going to have some type of illegal motion. They sent 2 guys in motion at the same time. And last time I saw that on the field, it was a flag.
Well, and you've seen it because that's what they call.
And just one of the things to Coach Weems, really any head coach, especially when you're playing the #1 team, that is, you don't want to hurt yourself. You want the other team to be able to beat you. You know, I'm sure they talked in the locker room how important to come out and establish this first series.
Well, you know, he talked about mental preparation, mental mistakes, and right off the bat.
Loss of 5 due to the penalty. It'll be 1st and 15. Atkins back to throw, throws out in the corner. The catch is made at the 30-yard line up to the 31-yard line. Market on the tackle for South Panola. And the reception made and picked up all the way to the 31-yard line.
If you're Meridian, you're thinking one thing, and that is finish. They done had some good, positive plays, but they need to be able to finish with some points.
Second down. And a nice run, little misdirection there by Antoine Atkins. And Cheyenne, you were saying at the outset of the ball of the broadcast tonight that Atkins was their playmaker, and they were going to have to get the ball in his hands. And so far here in the early goings of the second half, that's what they're doing.
And he's not just one-dimensional anymore. He actually throws the ball pretty good also.
Picked up the first down. Just underway here in the third quarter. Twin receivers left, one to the right. 1st and 10 from the 40. Antoine Atkins looked like he tried to hand the ball off, and there was nothing there but South Panola Tigers.
What's surprising is the way Meridian has been moving the ball down the field. They have 0 points on the board. You would think the way they're moving up and down the field, they would at least have 3 points, but quietly the game is going along longer and longer, 0 points on the board.
You know, this drive so far is totally different from any other drive Meridian's had tonight. They're just slowly, methodically handing the ball off and trying to pick up the first downs, running the football. Maybe they changed their mind at halftime. 2nd down and 8. Again, Atkins calls his number, and he goes down at the 41-yard line. Not sure. I think they've got his number.
And Meridian's trying to give a double tight look. And what they're trying to do is stretch that 4-man front. But right now, still, South Panola is just so strong up in there, you don't have any running lanes.
Wildcats now, as you get a look there at Atkins, 3rd down and 8 from the Wildcat 41. Twin receivers to the right, one to the left. Out of the shotgun, Atkins, 2-step drop, wants to throw, steps up in the pocket, goes right into the teeth of the South Panola defense, and is stopped cold at the 43-yard line. Gross on the tackle for South Panola, and this is why he couldn't find a receiver.
Well, if you look at it, the South Panola defense dropped out in the zone, and the guy was running into the guys in the secondary. And once he had nowhere to throw, he had nothing to do but pull the ball down and try to get back to the line of scrimmage and make the first down, which he was not able to do.
Stanley back to kick it away for Meridian now. He'll be standing at his 31-yard line. He's got to be very careful who he kicks it to here for the Tigers. End over end. Coverage team is good. Taken by Brazel, and he moves it up to the 45, 46-yard line. And Brazel now has the Tigers in good field position. 1st and 10 at their own 47-yard line. Panola leading 7-0 here in the third quarter.
The FedEx MHSAA Football Championships, presented by Bank Plus, are made possible by Hamels, catering by George's, Cabot Lodge, Chimneyville, and Jason's Deli.
1st and 10 for South Panola. Get a good look there at Kendrick Martin talking to Griffin. Also Connor in the backfield. 1st and 10 for the Tigers at their own 47-yard line. This is Griffin, who's got blockers in front, skips to the outside, and will go down at about the 32-yard line, and a flag goes down. That may be a late hit on the Wildcats. Coming up to make that tackle was Fluker. Let's see what that call is. Maybe a late hit. Griffin says it's a late hit. Personal foul. Oh, face mask. I thought he went down pretty quick.
And this was the concern is when you talked about earlier as we look at this replay here.
Guys, I tell you, this is the prettiest thing in football. When you see the you see the face mask right there, he got his hand up in there. That's 15 yards every time.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is great camera work when you can get in there and see that hand wrap around the face mask.
And Rush, you talked about the body punches, This is South Panola football. How long can Meridian defense stay on the field?
1st and 10 for South Panola at the Meridian. 17-yard line. Griffin trying to get to the outside. Is going to try to race to the corner and just falls down, doesn't make it. Loss of about 4 yards on the play. And on the tackle, it'll be Roberts again for Meridian. He's been on a bunch of them. Good crowd on hand tonight at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, and the stadium grass and end zones and all the painting couldn't be any better. It looks outstanding and is a great venue for high school football. 2nd down and 3. Check that, 2nd down and 13. I'm sorry, loss of 3. Here's Connor. Nope, it's going to be Kendrick Market, and he is upended. He was trying to pick up the block by Brathel. And on the stop is Cox, who comes up. There's a look at Market right there. And Cox on the tackle. One thing that they're doing in the process on this drive, they're burning some clock.
As you can see, Market get the ball and go out to the left-hand side, and he wasn't able to get the 1st down, but he put him into a manageable 3rd down.
Ooh. Talk about being upended. Here's Connor trying to get to the outside, cuts inside the 10, down close to the 7-yard line. Maybe good enough for a 1st down. Let's see where they mark it. It is a 1st down.
You know, how many running backs does South Panola have? You know, they just keep coming. Nothing fancy, just plain old base blocking up front. You don't have a whole lot of pulling and trapping and so forth on that. Of course, you could do that when you think you're better than your opponents over there on that line.
1st and goal to go now for South Panola. They lead it 7-0 and knocking on the door. It'll be a straight snap to Market. Hands off to Griffin. Griffin swinging wide left. Griffin trying to get to the corner. That's just power and speed, and that is a reservation for 6 right there. And a flag on the ground. That's just South Panola football right there. Let's see what the call is. They're talking, I believe, with Meridian. Looks like it may be a holding call against the Tigers. Well, just in case they want to make sure they get the call right, T.J. McNeil over there for Meridian in that huddle with the officials. Now they're going to go over and pick up. Well, what is it?
Wait.
Oh, they're going to wave it off. Let's see if we can find the holding here.
Well, the flag was on the back side of this play.
This one of those holding, if it would have been a holding, it wouldn't have mattered in the play anyway.
And you know what? Brian Eubank brings up a very good point. They may have thrown it on the running back diving into the end zone thinking that he was just kind of showing off, but he was trying to get into the end zone.
No, the flag was thrown earlier. I think they might have thought that they didn't have enough men on the line of scrimmage or something along that line, because if you see a holding, you don't wave that off.
The kicker, Clayton Sibley, in now for South Panola to try to make it. Well, they whistle another flag. I think things are getting a little testy down there. This changes things. If this is against Meridian, would South Panola go for 2? All right, let's get the call from the official. Oh, offsides Meridian.
I think they probably still continue to kick the extra point. Of course, 14 points is, you know, you can come back. You're talking about against South Panola. That's pretty a sizable margin.
Sibley, straight on kicker. Splits the uprights. And it is 14-0. South Panola leads it with 6:34 to go. It's going to be Griffin off the left side for the touchdown. We'll be back with the kickoff in a moment.
The FedEx MHSAA Football Championships, presented by Bank Plus, are made possible by the Mississippi Department of Public Safety and the Mississippi State Board for Community and Junior Colleges.
South Panola leading 14-0 with 6:34 to go in the third quarter. And the Wildcats, Portis back to receive the kick from South Panola. And the Wildcats have got to put together some kind of drive here. Ball comes down to Portis at the 10, Portis to the 15, 20, goes right up the middle of the field and is spun around and down at the 25-yard line. And let's go to the scoring drive now for South Panola as Glover got a hand on him and takes him down on the kickoff return. 5 plays, 55 yards, 2:04. South Panola's actual drives haven't been that long, but they've been pretty effective.
And that's normally what they do, and they show the reason why they have played for the state championship for 9 years in a row.
I think we got another unsportsmanlike on South Panola.
Yeah, number 13 right there at the end of the play, and the coach is kind of getting on him on the sideline. That was uncalled for. The play was over.
Well, and you don't want to give Meridian any head of steam here. I mean, this is a team that's got to get on the scoreboard right now.
Right, it's beginning to be a sense of urgency. Normally you say, well, you don't have to score, and maybe not, but they need some points in the worst way.
Tonight, Atkins passing 4 out of 7 for 35 yards, but he's run the football for 62 yards. Romero, do you think we might see him put the ball in the air more?
Well, I think it would have been 14-0. He's definitely going to have to put the ball in the air. Atkins has shown that he can make some plays with his leg and his arm, and I'm quite imagine we're going to see it here going down the stretch.
So now the Wildcats have it 1st and 10 at their own 42. Atkins looked like he might run the pitch out, but takes the ball to the 45-yard line, where Kendrick Flowers makes the tackle at the 45. Pickup of about 3 yards. I understand staying with your game plan, but I'm like you, Romero. I think at some point, you're down 14. You might want to see if Anton Atkins can put the ball in the air here.
Well, I tell you, here in a little bit, they're going to trash that game plan real quick and try to put the ball in the air because they're going to have to against this South Panola defense.
2nd down and 8 from the 45. They will run the football again in the person of Antoine Atkins. And he responds with a 4-yard carry across the 45 up close to midfield. Connor in on the tackle.
Russ, they're in a must get when you're talking about getting the first down. Meridian has to get the first down. You cannot give South Panola the ball right now. Not a team that can smell blood. They get this ball back, they're going to take it straight back down the field.
3rd down, a long 3 for the Meridian Wildcats, just shy of midfield. Antoine Atkins, big run. Got one man to beat, and Market reaches out and takes him down along with Connor and Brassel.
We're talking about passing the ball. Hey, the coaches know best. They're going to run it up the middle and get the first down.
Well, don't look now. Let's take a look at the play.
As you see, he's going to give a little fake back here and going to hit it up in here. And once he gets to going down the middle of the field, and make number 1 miss in the hole, there's nothing but an open green right there, and he's going to take it down there, roughly get a 25 to 30-yard gainer.
Thought we might have a flag on the play, but looks like they waved it off.
And that was a big first down that Meridian needed in the worst way.
Inside the 30 now, Meridian 1st and 10. Here comes the blitz. Atkins trying to get to the outside and does. Needed a block, got a block. 20, 15, 10, and rolled out at the 9-yard line.
Well, guys, what are we saying about, having to throw the ball to get back into the game? Of course, we hadn't scored yet, but, when the coaches come in.
Well, as you can see, Atkins going to drop back. There's nothing open, and he's going to get outside of the pocket after he make a couple of guys miss. And once he get outside of the pocket, it's on athletic ability.
That, my friends, is why they're down here.
Well, I tell you, Atkins, he's showing us right now he's very athletic, and once he get outside of the pocket, it's not easy for these defenders from South Panola to get a tackle on him.
4:34 to go in the third quarter. 14-0 South Panola, but Meridian knocking on the door. Looked like a busted play, and Atkins gets something out of nothing and keeps the drive alive.
You know, early in this drive, we were talking about passing. Now it got me thinking, Coach Weems over there, he's 14-0, and we sitting in the box.
Well, you look at it's the flow of the game. And we say the flow of the game suggests they ought to throw, but there's a good look at Coach Weems right there. He knows what his team can do, and they've got the football now in the red zone against the South Panola Tigers. 2nd and goal. Man in motion left. Atkins up the middle. Atkins, touchdown. That was pretty easy. And the Meridian Wildcat fans, and there's a lot of them here tonight, elated over that touchdown run. All right, Romero, tell us why this play worked so well.
Guys, basically what they did, they spread it out the defense. They had 4 down linemen, 1 linebacker. You got 5 linemen, 5 guys inside of the box. Nobody account for the quarterback. He gets 6 points.
Luke Stanley will be on to attempt the point after now for Meridian. 14-6 your score. South Panola in the lead, but Meridian slices that lead in half with an extra point here. Snap is down, kick is up, and it's straight through the uprights, and we've got a ball game. South Panola leads it by a score of 14-7 with 3:48 to go in the third, and they did exactly what we thought they needed to do. We just didn't know that they were going to do it in the way we thought they would.
Remember, we talked about it. We said they needed some points in the worst way. Now you're 1 possession away. The key now is, will Meridian be able to stop South Panola when they get the ball?
And here's something interesting. Believe it or not, there's a flag on the field. And let's get the call. Personal foul against the Tigers. That's going to be assessed on the kickoff. And we'll take a timeout with the Tigers of South Panola leading 14-7. We'll be back in a moment with more from Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Hometown values build big-time players in football and in life. The Smith Phillips Law Firm supports South Panola athletics and academics. There's more than one reason we call it the University of South Panola. With offices in Batesville and Hernando, Smith, Phillips, Mitchell, Scott, and Nowak are your lawyers in North Mississippi.
The FedEx MHSAA Football Championships, presented by Bank Plus, are made possible by the Mississippi Department of Public Safety and the Mississippi State Board for Community and Junior Colleges.
Welcome back. The kickoff goes into the end zone for the touchback, and South Panola now will start 1st and 10 at their own 20-yard line. They lead in this game by a score of 14-7. Let's take a look at how South Panola got their last touchdown in this ball game as you look at Braswell there. The last drive they had, a lot of misdirection and a lot of Griffin. There's Connor. And here's Griffin to finish it off. So let's see if they go back to that same style of football, and the Wildcats come across the line. A flag goes down. Do you sense a momentum shift here?
If Meridian could come up with a stop and get the ball back, yes. If South Panola can continue to get 1st down after 1st down, they're going to take that momentum swing away.
The penalty is going to be a false start on South Panola.
Well, I tell you, if you look at the guys from Meridian out there on the field, the momentum is definitely turning. And you can see it by the Wildcats fans that's up there. They're really loud, and they're bringing it.
Kendrick Martin checks into the backfield now. He'll be taking the direct snap for the Tigers. 1st and 15 for the Tigers at their own 15. Market off the right side gets the lost yardage back and a couple to boot. And moves the ball across the 20 up to the 22-yard line. There's a good look at Kendrick Market. M-A-R-K-E-T. Market.
You know, it's amazing that each year when the polls come out, generally it's pretty much either Meridian or South Panola at the top. And even though both of these teams are graduating, a lot of seniors, Meridian 20, South Panola right at 19, they will be back because they have talent in that pool.
2nd down and 8 after a pickup of 7. Right up the middle they go with Griffin. And on the stop is Jacoby Eason. Picks up a couple. It'll be 3rd down and short. Well, not really short. Short from South Panola, I guess. It'll be 3rd down and 4 yards to go for a 1st down. It's a big play for the Meridian defense.
Yes, it is. We talk about momentum. If they get a 1st down, they begin to take it back.
Market will take the direct snap for South Panola. Wants to throw, sets up, throws across the middle, and it's caught! Griffin on his horse. Griffin trying to get to the end zone. Griffin taken down at the 5.
Guys, they just got the momentum back.
Well, I tell you, there's something that you're taught as a quarterback is never throw across the middle of the field. He threw it back across the middle of the field, was able to get a catch. All right, as you see, he's going to roll this way, and the receiver going to be back over here in the middle. You always taught as a quarterback, never throw the ball back over the middle field. And you can see Market get out. He throw the ball back across his body, which is not supposed to do. Griffin catches the ball and runs it all the way down to the 5-yard line. Hey, sometimes it's a great thing to be lucky on.
68 yards on the run by Griffin. And again, this time it's Connor, and Connor slices into the end zone for the touchdown. And just when you thought Meridian was getting the momentum back, South Panola takes it away from him.
I tell you, you talk about a heart of a champion. That's a champion right there. You take your punch, we're going to come out and deliver our own punch.
And remember, I said these guys have been here time and time and time again.
Sibley will be on to attempt the point after. Snaps a little high. The kick is up. And it's good. Well, I tell you, Connor made this look easy, didn't he? Market's your quarterback.
Yep, as you can see, that powerful offensive line just coming off the ball and giving them great holes to go through. He was able to get in between those big guys and get on across that line.
2 minutes to go in the 3rd. Connor's had a good game.
Well, you know, we talked about passing, and it's still not in a critical state. But as the clock winds down, I don't know if Meridian going to continue to be able to put together these 5-7 minute drives, because then they're playing against the clock.
I tell you, when you go out and the momentum is with you, just like Meridian, and then a team come back and just punch you back in the throat, it's hard to continue to bounce back from it.
Right, and if they could have held South Panola and received the ball back as you kick the ball off.
Portis is going to come over and chase it and have it at the 16-yard line. Portis up to the 20, spun around at the 25, and down he goes at the 26-yard line. And that's where Meridian will go to work. All right, let's take a look now at how Meridian scored on their last drive. Running the football. We thought they might be throwing. South Panola found out they were running. Atkins doing a lot of the damage. And very quickly into the end zone. They got the momentum back. Atkins with a good drive, and then South Panola takes it right back. South Panola leading 21-7 with 1:53 to go in the 3rd quarter. Atkins ready, takes the snap. Connor there for the tackle at the 28-yard line.
And that was kind of an awkward looking play, but what he was doing was reading it, and he couldn't get the quick read, in which he kept it in there.
Well, one thing that I noticed, that was the first time I noticed that South Panola got into a 3-man front. They usually been 4-man, 5-man front the entire game, but that last play and this play right here, as you can see, they're switching it up a little bit.
Well, they know now that since they got the lead that the clock is on their side.
3 wideouts to the left. 2nd down and 6. Atkins swallowed up at the 29-yard line. You know, that offensive line for Meridian, Melvin Morris, Jack West Scott, Tyler Stanley, Jabari Cole and E.J. Perry have really got to stick with their man right now.
Actually, as you see right now, South Panola is in a 3-man front, and it's something that Meridian is not used to seeing. So earlier when they was in a 4-man front, they were used to seeing they switched them up and hit them with a curveball.
3rd down and 7 for Meridian. Atkins a lot of time, and now the time breaks down, and down he goes at the 32, shy of the 1st down.
You know, to go back to Coach Wing's philosophy on offense, he said whatever it takes to move the chain. If we got to throw it 6 times in a row, if we got to run it 6 times in a row, I think what they're doing is counting the number of guys in the box, and they said, you know what, we should be able to run the ball, and against most teams, they would.
Isaac Gross, the nose tackle for South Panola, makes the tackle, and now Luke Stanley will be on to punt the football away, and back to receive is Connor, who can fly. Good kick. High end over end. Connor going to let it roll, and he rolls inside the 20-yard line. That will take us to the end of the 3rd quarter. South Panola leads it by a score of 21-7 as Griffin dives in. We'll take a timeout and be back for the 4th and final quarter of the 6A playoff game in a moment. Welcome back to the MHSAA FedEx 6A State Football Championships presented by Bank Plus. South Panola leading 21-7 as we start the 4th and final quarter. And look at the play selection here. Meridian has run the ball 30 times. South Panola has run it 29. 7 passes from Meridian, 8 for South Panola. So neither team dominating in one area over the other.
Right, and it goes back to the coach's philosophy. They feel that they should be able to get those yardage, and against the average team, they probably could.
This is no average teams. 1st and 10 for South Panola. And a run off right tackle. That is Griffin running hard with the football. Let's see how South Panola scored on their last drive. The throw to Griffin, and he does most of the rest. Throw across the middle, taken down at the 5-yard line. And then it's Connor slicing through the middle for the touchdown. There's a good look at Connor right there. South Panola with it now, 2nd down and a long 4 from their 24-yard line. 1st down carry for Griffin. Looks like, Romero, that they're picking on the defensive end corners for Meridian right now with success.
Well, it's looking like they're going back to a game plan that they had earlier where they were overloading on one side of the ball and just smashing it down their throat. They're going back to it, and it's working for them again.
You know, those yards that they were getting at the beginning of the game, which was 2 or 3, now turning into 7 and 8 as they begin to wear the Cats defense down.
Twin receivers to the left. Slot man on the right. 1st and 10 now for South Panola at their own 37. And again, they come back to the same side of the field with the same result. A good run by Griffin. Good look at Griffin right there. T.J. McNeil on the tackle for Meridian. Don't forget, this South Panola team is the #1 team in the country. So a lot of eyes and ears on this football game tonight. And other teams want to see how they measure up to this program. 2nd down and 6 from the 40. Good hard running. Kendrick Market.
You know, guys, because of like there's a flag on the end of that play, because they have so many running backs, they have to keep fresh legs in the backfield and continue to just wear down their opponents.
I'm sure that, you know, you got that many running backs, they all want to carry the ball, Romero. I mean, they just, you know, they want to be in the offense.
Well, one thing they know is if you're not getting that many carries, so the carries that you get, you got to run the ball hard, and that's what they're doing.
1st and 10 for the Tigers. They're in Wildcat territory at the Wildcat 47. Man in motion right. Again, they come to the right side. And this time, Connor cannot escape the tackle of Fluker. Fluker's had a pretty good ball game, Cheyenne. You talked about him at the outset of the broadcast, and he brings it.
And for the longest, he kind of flew under the radar. Now you got several universities that are recruiting him.
2nd and 8.
You know, if you look at the Wildcat defense, on the initial point of contact, it's like they're taking sides instead of being able to fight through resistance to get there.
Well, those folks looking at Fluke are going to have to wait a couple years as a sophomore. He's playing like a senior.
He is a senior. He's a senior.
Oh, I'm sorry. He is a senior. Here is Kendrick Market inside the 40. Dive, trying to pick up the first down.
That was a good effort right there. He didn't get the first down, but he put him in a very, very good 3rd and short.
Yeah, I was thinking of Connor. He's a sophomore.
Yeah, Connor's is. Now, Fluke will tell you a little story about him. When we played against Meridian, I say we had Hattiesburg High 2 years ago. We had a little running back, Marquise Hosey, broke through the middle, ran flat over Fluker, and his peers gave him such a hard time that he went and began to lift weights, and he's been dominating ever since. I kind of messed with him at the press conference about that.
3rd down and short yardage, and coming across is Lauren Jackson, the defensive end. South Panola is pointing at the Wildcats. The Wildcats not pointing back, so it's probably going to go against them. Let's take a look at some of the commitments. Here's the call. Offsides on Meridian. Let's take a look at some of the verbal commitments that we know about, as they are all over this tournament this weekend. We'll get to that after this play. 1st and 10. Well, there they are right there. Braslov going to Mississippi State. What a big pickup that is for them. We'll come to that, back to that in a moment. 1st and 10 for South Panola at the 34-yard line. Straight ahead running for the South Panola Tigers. Let's go back to this Kendrick Market, who you've seen tonight throw a touchdown pass. He's going to Mississippi State. Joe Price from the Madison Central Jaguars. He's going to Mississippi State. And Nick Redmond of Harrison Central down on the coast. He's going to State. Jalen Collins of Olive Branch going to LSU. I'll tell you, we got some good kids going to some great schools, don't we? And they're staying in State. Here's Griffin, big haul on the left side. Now, Romero, I want you to look at this play and analyze it for us, because it's a microcosm of this ball game. Griffin finding the easy running lanes here.
Well, I tell you, we said coming to the game, the offensive line for South Panola was going to hit you in your mouth, hit you in your mouth, hit you in your mouth. They're doing it. Now Meridian, they starting to falter a little bit, giving up the 4, 5, 6, 7 yards of play.
1st and 10 for the Tigers at the Wildcat 20-yard line. Full house backfield, wideouts both ways, man in motion right. They'll hand it off to Griffin. He slips off one tackle, but this time slowed down and taken down by T.J. McNeil and also Lauren Rogers.
You know, talking to Coach Weems, of course, he's been coaching for 36 years, and he said, you know, in watching these guys on the field, this is the most playmakers that I've ever seen on one team. And, of course, it shows, you know. You could go, most teams may be fortunate to have one of these young men that can run like this. And you know, most of these yardage been between tackle to tackle. They're just playing smash mouth football.
2nd down and 10 for the Tigers. They lead at 21-7. They'd like to add another one. And Kendrick Market takes the snap, and he is bottled up by the Wildcats. And leading the charge is Lauren Jackson, the big defensive end. And he had help. Let's take a look at what the Wildcats are doing on defense. There's Market taking the direct snap.
I tell you, Market went away from his blockers. His blockers are actually going over to the right. He want to cut it back and go solo. When you cut it back and go solo, that's the result that you get.
Boy, Kenyani McMurray is 5'8", 300 pounds. He's on the left side. I think I'd be going over there where he is. 3rd down and 11. They actually lost a yard on the play from the Meridian 21. Griffin swinging wide. Sidesteps a tackle. Still on his feet, down inside the 10-yard line for the touchdown. And Romero Miller, you've mentioned this most of the afternoon. When you have plays like this, you don't coach that.
No, that was pure determination. I tell you what, he's close to that 1st down. I can't tell if he got it or not, but it's very close.
You can see why that young man is rushed for over, what is it, 25, right at 2,500 yards.
Well, let's see where they're going to put the ball down. 6:04 to go in the football game.
Let me turn my eyes out again and guess. I say he is 3 inches short.
I'd say about an inch. Come on, Romero, you got to pick it up.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business.
That's right.
Well, you know, coaches always say you have running backs to run for first downs, you have running backs to run for touchdowns. And each time these young men touch the ball, they're trying to score.
4th down and inches for the Tigers, and gee, they're going to go for it. With that backfield of Connor and Market and Griffin, you got to figure there's an inch of running in that group.
I tell you, it's going to 1, but we don't know which one it's going to be. And that's scary for the defense.
Here's the snap. Griffin takes it off the left side, turns the corner, touchdown. That looked easy.
What they've done is the same thing they've done so many games, and that is they're breaking the wheel to win.
And you know, at one point in this football game, as you see Griffin turn the corner, he just turns on the speed, and he's got the power to go with that. That's a great combination. But at one point in this ball game, Meridian had driven the field and was taking the momentum.
But just a sign of a good team. Every time they get the ball, as we watch this extra.
Taylor Rotenberry will put it up and put it through. And South Panola leads it 28-7 with 5:41 to go in the football game. South Panola looking in pretty good shape. We'll take a timeout and be back with the kickoff in a moment.
With me is Dr. Ennis Proctor, Executive Director of the MHSAA. And boy, this is a great crowd for a great game.
Really is, Kim. It's a great day for us. We had good crowd today, you know, with a 1 and 2As, and great crowd tonight. This is what high school football is all about. You got South Panola, who is certainly looking like the #1 team in the nation tonight. We're real proud of them, but Meridian has really brought the fight to them. It's been a great ball game tonight.
Well, we'll invite everybody out for tomorrow, but for now, let's let them have the game back.
Let's get them out tomorrow.
All right. Well, I tell you, it's just hard to believe that Dr. Ennis Proctor's last year is this year.
20 years.
20 years, and he has done so many things for the MHSAA. Here's the kickoff taken by Portis at the 10, moves it across the 20 to the 25, 27-yard line, and that's where Meridian will go to work. 1st and 10. You know, we talk about Lance Pogue and all these coaches putting in the number of hours they do for, as you see there, Lance Pogue, as the number of hours they put in a week. Think about Dr. Proctor with all the schools he has underneath him, how many hours he has to put in.
And he has built a great program, a great system in the state of Mississippi, which really second to none across the United States. And, of course, you have a good young man in Dunn Hinton that will be taking over.
Well, I tell you, big good leadership out of the MHSAA for years to come with Don Hinton. 1st and 10, Wildcats want to throw the football. No, Atkins looks upfield, gets around the corner, 30, 35, 40, 45, and out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Looked like he wanted to go downfield, couldn't find anyone, and just tucks the ball and runs.
You know,
well, I tell you, Atkins, the one thing about him, the athletic ability. He draw backs there. He's still looking to pass the ball. Nobody's open, so now he's thinking that he's going to use his leg. Pull the ball down and get out of bounds, get the 1st down.
1st and 10 Meridian, and the ball resting at their 46. They're down by 3 touchdowns. They need to get on the scoreboard. Atkins drops the ball and tries to get something out of it, but is unable to do so as Isaac Gross, big nose guard, defensive end, makes the tackle.
Of course, South Panola now playing with 2 high safeties. They got them back pretty deep, and they're pretty much trying to cover the passing lane. And, of course, any pass across that middle is going to be tough for one of the receivers to catch.
2nd down and 11 for the Wildcats at their own 44. Atkins wants to throw. Here comes the pressure. Steps out of it and turns it up the field. Atkins got a block at midfield, and out he goes.
I tell you, Atkins made so many negative plays turn into positive plays tonight. Boy, I tell you, he even going down in the feet, he's showing you that he can play at the next level.
You know, Meridian's liable to look at the film on Monday for the front of it and just kind of scratch their head and go, how did we lose this game? Because they've actually played a very good football game tonight. Twin receivers both ways. 3rd down and 5. They need to get 5 yards in the worst way here. Antoine Atkins will be in the shotgun. Here's the snap. Atkins turns it up the field, now cuts to the outside, and he does not get the first down. I think he's down when the ball comes out of his hands, and that's going to be a 4th down. I don't think there's any question here of what you got to do.
And that's why, you know, South Panola give you those 7-8 yard runs like that, because they know now that that's not enough to beat them. Of course, Meridian is going to have to go up top.
So 4th down and a yard for the Wildcats as they get the offensive play from the offensive coordinator. They're going to have to hurry to get this play off. They sent a man in motion right. Atkins pitches out, and there's room, and there's a 1st down carry inside the 35 to the 32-yard line. Carrying the football, Michael Hubbard, who we saw a little bit in the first half. He had 8 touchdowns on the second on this season, and let's kind of look. It looks kind of like a flying wishbone here.
As you see, Atkins is going to come out to the right, take it as far as he can before he's forced to pitch it, and pitch it out to his running back, take it on down to get another 1st down.
1st and 10. Atkins to throw, wants to throw deep. He overthrows his man. Back to that previous play for a moment, Romero. It's not exactly a wishbone kind of play, but more just kind of a what do they call a half veer, if you will. You're going to toss it to your running back. He's reading what the linebacker's doing. Yep.
What you're going to Atkins, the quarterback, is going to take it down the field as far as possible. I think the secondary guy, I think it was number 1, came up and forced him to pitch it and pitched it onto his guy and got 10+ more yards.
2nd down and 10 for the Wildcats at the South Panola 34. Atkins to throw, being pressured. Atkins going to be taken down from behind. Taylor Rottenberry, or some would pronounce it Rotenberry. I believe it is Rotenberry.
No,
the senior.
You're not advocating throwing an interception, but in a situation like that, either you throw the ball away or throw it down and give your receiver a chance to make a play.
Rotenberry comes to the backside. He's got speed for a big guy.
Yeah, once again, that front got some pressure on him, and he had nowhere to go. But this time they was able to stop him from behind.
3rd down, a loss of 5. 3rd and 15. Wildcats going backwards. They're trying to set up the screen. They do. But the Tigers are there at the 35-yard line and spill him for a loss, and that is Michael Hubbard. He doesn't get much because Draper all over him. Let's go to Romero now and find out why that play did not work.
Well, they set it up perfect. The defensive line came free. But here's the problem is you missed one of the guys in the secondary. He came up to make the tackle. You know, South Panola, everybody know team speed, and it's just hard to get a hand on those guys.
And Kendall Carter, defensive lineman, number 97, did a good job of recognizing that string.
4th down and 12 for Meridian. They've got to get 12 yards in the worst way. Atkins turns it up the field. He's going to be taken down from behind. And the Wildcats will hand the football over to South Panola with 2:07 left to go in this football game. And Lance Pogue says yes. And you see a little smile coming from Lance Pogue right now on the South Panola sideline.
You know, and that's another what we talked about just a second ago, and that is as a quarterback, you got to know when to release that ball, at least give your receiver a chance to make a play. If you're talking about these two coaches, they'll be coaching together next week down in the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star with Coach Green and Coach Cole. They both have a great deal of respect for each other, and I'm sure they'll sit and talk about this game and then move on.
1st and 10 for South Panola. And it's going to be a steady diet of rushing the football from the Tigers. Wildcats on the stop there after a short gain, maybe a yard.
You know, Russ, Coach Pogue said they never really talk about the win streak when they had the streak going. They don't really talk about how good they're supposed to be. They hear it all the time. What they do is they get in the weight room, they get out on the practice field, and they work hard.
Coach Lance Pogue congratulating his coaching staff. I wouldn't be hanging around that water jug very much. Panola, second down. Here's Brassel down. He's got some room in front. 40-yard line, 42-yard line. Steps out of bounds with 1:23 to go.
If I could get a little plug for the Wildcats on this one. You know, this past week it was rainy in the early part of the week. Of course, South Panola had the turf. There's a little rumor going around in Meridian that the funds are there, and it looks like the Wildcats may get a field house, and hopefully they can get in and throw in a little turf as a Christmas wish.
The Mississippi High School Activities Association thanks Mississippi Public Broadcasting for making the televising of these championships possible statewide through the MPB network. Here's a big hole up the middle for South Panola, and it's a first down carry. Videos, by the way, of these championship games are available through mpbonline.org.
You know, at the end of the game, sometimes you look at it and go back and say, we could have done this, we could have done that, and probably could have made the game a little closer, but clearly South Panola is the better team here on the field tonight.
28 carries, 197 yards for Griffin. Guys, that's almost 200 yards for Griffin tonight. Let's see if they're going to give it to him and let him crack that 200-yard barrier. Oh, yeah. And he does, down to the 42-yard line.
Well, I tell you what made Griffin so effective, the offensive line for one, and then the power and the strength that he has.
Coach Pogue starting to smile a little bit as his Tigers less than a minute away from another state championship. It'll be interesting to see if they stay #1 in the country after this game.
And he is as humble guy as you ever want to meet. He still talks about coaching overrated. He said, we got talent. You know, we're supposed to be where we are. Now, that's not to take away and say he's not a good coach, because he is.
He really gives the tip of the hat to Coach Wright, doesn't he?
I'll tell you my favorite play in football, victory.
Yeah. Lance Pogue and his South Panola Tigers are going to do it again.
I tell you, look at those guys celebrating. They're celebrating like this is the first championship, when in actuality, hey, they're back-to-back.
Well, you know, you go down I-55 and you see a billboard that's got all the championships that South Panola has won, and there's a year missing. It's 08, and that's the year Meridian hung one on them here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. But since that time, it has been South Panola.
And you get a chance to witness two of the most premier programs in the state of Mississippi. And I tell you, Meridian, of course, came up short, have nothing to hang their heads about. But they'll be back next year, both teams.
Oh, I think both of them, you know, really have a shot at coming back next year. You look up and down their lineup, and of course, both coaches played some young kids tonight. And Lance Pogue, after about midway through the third quarter, you saw some juniors and sophomores come in. He was getting them ready for next year.
And I tell you, as we look at them shake hands, that's one of the best part about the game is you compete hard, and now it's all about sportsmanship.
And for these seniors, it's the last game they'll play in a high school uniform, and they are going to want to enjoy this all night long. Let's go down with Kim and Lance Pogue.
Congratulations, Coach. First of all, tell me, what's it feel like to win another state championship?
Well, I'm proud of my players. I tell you, my coaches and players worked so hard. Last year we won down here, and we had a big target on our back. We had 19 starters coming back, and you know, we had highly ranked and had the pressure on us all year. But well, we just played hard tonight, overcome some early mistakes. But I'm just tickled for our seniors, and I'm tickled for the South Panola football program. You know, we've been up in the national rankings, and we'll have an opportunity. Who knows where that falls? But I think we proved ourselves that we belong on that scale, and I'm very, very proud of that.
Tell me about Hoover, Alabama. How do you feel about playing that game?
Well, I got a lot of respect for Hoover. You know, they won a lot of championships, and you know, but I'll work on that in the future. Right now, I'm happy for these guys. I tell you, I'm a team guy, and I'm proud of our program. But my mom and dad were able to be here tonight, and they're elderly. It's something I'm proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Congratulations, Russ.
Thank you, Kim. A very emotional Lance Pogue. Excited over the fact that his parents were here. They were up here in the press box with us tonight. He's getting a hug from Ennis Proctor, the executive director, and what a job he has done.
And that's his wife, Dixie, and I always tease him. I say, Coach, you all look kind of alike there.
All right, as the South Panola Tigers congratulate each other. By the way, Brian Eubank was telling me that, good look at Griffin there, that is the 8th game this year that he's had over 200 yards in a game.
Guys, that will make high school football special. Look at these guys on the field. Actually, look, a couple of them out there. I think I see a couple of tears.
All right, so it's all over. The 6A state championship goes to the South Panola Tigers tonight by a score of 28-7. We'll take a timeout and be back to wrap it up in a moment. Welcome back to Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. 28-7. South Panola wins yet another state championship. It never gets old. You hear Lance Polk say that he is so proud of his program, and well, he should be. They're going to have to build more trophy cases over there in Batesville for this football program.
You know, and both teams came in well prepared. Of course, I think South Panola eventually got into their game plan, and when you look back at it as a coach, you could have did some things different than Meridian, but clearly South Panola was the better team on the field tonight, and that's taking nothing away from the Wildcats.
A lot of running power for South Panola in this football game, Romero.
Well, we knew coming into the game that South Panola going to give you a heavy dose of the running game, and as the game got to go on, they started pounding and pounding, and you could tell Meridian guys start sliding back the other way.
Well, let's take a look at the final stats of this football game, and you'll see for yourself why South Panola is so dominant. 269 yards on the ground, 202 of those coming from Griffin. Meridian not bad, 193 yards. Passing yards, 133. They shut the Wildcats down to less than 40 yards in the air. Total yards off 402 for South Panola, 232 for Meridian, and just a total domination, especially in the second half, for the #1 team, the high school football team in the country. And they're going to be coming back next year, it looks like. Both teams are loaded. They'll have some tough games. There's a lot of 6A teams out there that'll be gunning for them, but I think they've got the possibility of coming back to this football game and trying to square it off again.
I think both teams, have the possibility. South Panola is losing 19 seniors, Meridian 20 seniors. But if you look at that talent pool, now Meridian may start off a little slow because they're young, and one thing you have to like about South Panola also, if they put the show on the road, whether it's Hoover, whether it's Georgia this year, whether it's Tennessee, and they help develop their program.
Well, you bring up an interesting point about Hoover, Alabama. Romero, they've got tradition. They've won state championships. So is South Panola. Of what you've seen and heard of Hoover, how does South Panola stack up?
Well, I tell you, you talk about South Panola coming back with guys like Gross next year, one of the defensive linemen, a guy like Connor, who's actually going to be a junior. I'm quite sure Lance Poe will put those guys up against anybody. Hoover, a team from Texas, team from Florida. Those guys, they're used to winning, and they're going to have some younger guys come through the pipe for next year and the year after that.
Well, it's been a great night for a football game tonight, but we've got even a bigger day tomorrow as we will have the 3A, 4A, and 5A games here from the stadium. In the 3A game, Aberdeen taking on the Forest Bearcats. Forest Bearcats, one of the best teams in high school football. And then 4A, you've got Lafayette County taking on North Pike, and I think North Pike may be one of the biggest surprises of the year.
The Cinderella team. You talk about a team that when Coach Smith took over 4 years ago, really didn't have a place to practice. They practiced on the left field of the baseball, while the band practiced on the right field, and baseball practiced on the infield, and the track was running around the field. And to be able to take his program to that level, and of course the 5A, is going to be a treat.
Yeah, because Brookhaven's Panthers are going to be taking on West Point's Green Wave, and West Point has been highly ranked all year, but Brookhaven surprised some people, including Wes Jones, to get in this ball game tomorrow night. And I think everybody, including myself, had Wes Jones penciled in that ball game, but Brookhaven changed all that, and so it should be as good a matchup tomorrow night as we've had here today. We're going to leave you with the sounds and sights of all the action that took place today here at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium, where we've had great football all day long. So for Romero Miller and Cheyenne Trussell, this is Russ Robinson saying so long from Veterans Memorial Stadium, and join us back here tomorrow for the 3, the 4, and the 5A state championships right here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Well, it's been a great weekend here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. We want to thank everyone that made this broadcast possible and all the folks at Mississippi Public Broadcasting. We're going to leave you with the sights and sounds of everything that's championship. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.